and I've been holding it for you guys. So let's professional burrito chauffeur. Very funny, Charles. Anyways, let's pull this up and watch it and see what we think.
Case, Miss Francis, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number. Y'all are on mute, I believe.
Dana Francis, 458-021.
All right. Let me acknowledge the guests that we have, and then we'll get started with our process. So we have in favor, we have the Parole Project, Mr. Kerry Myers. He'll be speaking at the appropriate time. Also speaking is Deborah Sharkey, the chaplain for the Department of Corrections, or with the Department of Corrections, and then Deidre Thomas with RISE. You do have counsel this morning, so I'd like to ask your counsel to please introduce yourself for the record.
Good morning, Anna Rose Grodell, staff attorney with the Parole Project here on behalf of Ms. Dana Francis.
Thank you. We have also with us Beverly Baker, your mother, your Aunt Pamela Francis, Stephanie King, a friend, Reagan Tingle, a friend, with the Parole Project, Dimitrisi, I'm sorry, I have a hard time with that name. Moore, Christy Sheremy, Sabrina Monaco, Kim Robinson with RISE, and Jan Waters also with the Parole Project.
Just to interrupt while they introduce people real quick, I will likely want to discuss this one in the 4th hour. So form your thoughts, and if we have time, we'll definitely go here an hour 4 during overtime.
As the employee. We do have opposition who are here with us on Zoom. We have the victim's son, Jonathan Hester, and the victim's daughter, Letitia Hester, and both of those will be speaking at the appropriate time. First, let me just read some identifying information into the record, then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Tillis. Your case has been assigned to him. So, Ms. Francis, you're classified as a second felony offender. You're currently serving a 30-year sentence. You were sentenced in East Baton Rouge Parish in September 2002 for forgery. You received a probated sentence that was revoked in 2005 for a new felony conviction. And you were sentenced in April of 2005 for attempted second-degree murder. You received a 30-year sentence. The parole eligibility date is tomorrow, your birthday. You have a good time date, February 24th, 2028. Is that information correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Tillis.
Good morning, Ms. Francis. How are you?
Good morning, I'm fine.
Good. Tell us, in your own words, what did you do and what caused you to be where you are today?
First, I would like to apologize to the family for the pain that I may cause today on top of the pain that I've caused, because I made the decision to shoot Miss Caraway, seriously harming her, and for that, I'm truly sorry. I was a 22-year-old woman staying with my cousin, sleeping on her couch, working at Microtel because I was on probation. On November 18th, I received a phone call informing me that I had lost my job. And November 19th, I took a cab to the job with the intentions of asking Ms. Caraway for my job. And upon me asking her, I became so overwhelmed with emotions of fear and anger and desperation. I shot Ms. Caraway. And I fled the scene out of shock and fear, but immediately I was so remorseful and regret, I contacted the police, confessing to the crime of shooting Miss Caraway.
Okay. Warden, do you have any comments about her?
Yes, Miss Dana is one of our minimum security inmates. She actually works at the headquarters, DOC headquarters office. And she's been working since actually LCIW took over working at headquarters. So she's been a long-term inmate working up there, which is a trusted position. We always get glowing remarks from all of the individuals that work at headquarters that she works with. Along with that job, Miss Dana actually is a mentor in our reentry court dorm. So she mentors those individuals who were sentenced to reentry court and facilitates different groups, either in our cell block or in the reentry dormitory or housing unit. I think probably one of the biggest accomplishments Miss Dana had received was yesterday. She actually graduated with her bachelor's degree in seminary. So I know Dr. Sharkey will probably talk about that, but don't want to speak for Dana, but I think that was an exciting day for her yesterday. But we don't have any trouble with Dana. She really helps out where we need her to, and she stays quite busy with her job, her studies, and mentoring inmates here at LCIW.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I guess now we'll hear from Louisiana Parole Project. Mr. Myers.
Yes, good morning. Kerry Myers with Louisiana Parole Project. We're here to let the board know we've accepted Dana Francis as a client in our program. Our plan for Dana is to provide long-term transitional housing, assist her with employment opportunities, ensure that she receives all the necessary evaluations, mental health, substance abuse, and abide by those plans, any recommendations that our social workers may have for her. Dana is completely remorseful for her actions. She didn't make no excuses for her actions. The difference is the now almost 45-year-old Dana has now learned the skills and has the skills through the work that she's done there to cope with the things that life has thrown at her before and in the future. Dana has a good time date, release date in early 2028. This is an opportunity at her age with the skills and the she has learned, both vocational and social skills she's learned while incarcerated. This is an excellent time that Dana is not only employable, she shows her willingness, besides the fact that she's gone to school, she works at headquarters, she gives back community as a reentry court mentor, something that is totally voluntary on her part because she wants to give back. She's very trusted. We would just ask this board to consider the fact the work that she's done, a degree in NOBTS, also attended Ashland University, also has vocational certifications, also does community service. Dana is not the 22-year-old socially ill-equipped person who made the decision to fire that gun that day. Dana can never take that back, but Dana has done the hard work, and we will support Dana on a long-term basis. So we'd ask this board to consider that today.
Thank you so much, Mr. Myers. Deborah Sharkley.
Sharkey. Deborah Sharkey.
Sorry.
Good morning. I am the Director of Chaplaincy Services for the Department of Corrections, as well as serve as the Director of the New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary Extension Center at LCIW. And I've known Dana Francis since 2010. Over the past 15 years, I have witnessed a remarkable transformation in her life. Since Dana has been incarcerated, she has shown consistent dedication to her personal growth and faith and service. She did complete her bachelor's degree, and she actually completed the requirements for that degree in 2024, but we just had our commencement service yesterday, and it was a great time to celebrate what those women have accomplished. Dana has served as a peer minister mentoring other women and providing leadership and encouragement across the whole facility. She oversees our faith-based recovery programs that celebrate recovery inside and life's healing choices. She helps women work through their trauma and their addiction. And she also teaches our pre-seminary class, Onesimus. She facilitates a helpful program called Courage for My Life. And she leads the faith-based classes in our lockdown units and also makes regular rounds in the infirmary and assisted living areas. Her ministry offers comfort and support to the women who are sick, aging, and isolated. Dana also serves on the Department of Corrections Faith-Based Advisory Council. This is she is just one of 16 inmates throughout the whole state, male and female, that were chosen to serve on this board. Dana does have some CTE vocational skills that were alluded to, but one of them in culinary arts, she likes to use in ministry to help encourage people. So what she does is she will make little snacks and things like that to build community in the dorm among the other inmates. And she often volunteers to work in the kitchen when there's a special event, even though that's not her job classification. So over the years, I have seen Dana take full responsibility for her past. I've spoken to her at length about that, and she makes no excuses. She is dedicated to continuing to grow in her faith and in leadership. She is compassionate and humble and consistently demonstrates integrity and accountability. Her life truly is a testimony to the power of God and what it means to walk with Him daily, surrendering to His will in her life. And I thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you so much. Ms. Deidre Thomas. Did I say that right?
Yes, you got it on the nail.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Deidre Thomas. I'm paralegal at the Promise for Justice Initiative. I had the opportunity to meet Dana as a colleague at the Louisiana Correctional Institute. At the time, I was a leader within the community, but I met a leader within the community that taught me how to be even a better leader. When I met Dana, Dana was the most humble woman that I met at LCIW. In that process, Dana has endlessly gone forward to help women in the community, whether they needed a word of encouragement, whether they were dealing with areas that they didn't want to cope with while they were on the inside. Dana helped me to see me at a different level. I stand before you today as a direct result of the board allowing opportunities for people that are incarcerated. Today, I ask that you provide that opportunity today. I'm the example. I strive because of women like Dana. I had an opportunity to be her colleague as in disciplinary court. In that process, when I was released, I continued to progress and maintain contact with so many strong women like Dana so that I can continue to progress. Dana, the opportunities out there for her are just insurmountable. I may not be able to offer a job to Dana today, but I would offer her and even want her to live next to me. I would be willing to open my home to Dana. Dana mentored to me, even though she does not have children. She mentored to me to mentor to my own son. She mentored to me when I dealt with depression. She mentored to me and so many people that are in this room because she learned who she is and the power that she has if she only tapped into it. Dana's relationship with God has blown me away. As her choir, we had a chance to harmonize when we didn't know what harmony was. And I want the opportunity with so many ladies to operate continuously in harmony with Dana to help see her reach her full potential. Although I think there's more that I can learn from her, but as well as to be in undoubtable truth that women that leave from a carceral setting, and no matter what they've gone through, that they can be successful and that they have a gigantic group of people willing to embrace them and to see them remaining law-abiding citizens in the state of Louisiana or wherever they live. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess last we'll hear from her attorney.
Morning. I want to begin by acknowledging the serious harm in this case. Miss Caraway was an innocent woman, a kind woman who gave Dana a chance and was gravely injured. Nothing Dana has done or could ever do will change that. Dana carries deep remorse and regret for the pain she caused the Caraway family, and she lives with the weight of that responsibility every day. Today, however, the question before this board is not whether harm occurred. It did. The question is whether Dana has taken responsibility, genuinely rehabilitated herself, and whether the woman she is now poses a risk to public safety. Based on her remarkable record over the last 22 years, we submit to you, she has done the work, she has sustained it over decades, and she is ready for successful release on parole. I'm about to offer the following context, not to excuse her actions, but to explain the circumstances that shaped a single devastating decision that stands in stark contrast to the rest of her life. Dana was 22 years old at the time of this offense. She entered adulthood without stability, safety, or support. Her childhood was marked by severe domestic violence, addiction, and abandonment. She recalls coming back from school into the abandoned home where her mother was living, unable to recognize her mother due to the broken bones, metal plates in her body, and staples in her head as a result of being beaten while battling a decades-long addiction. Her father was entirely absent due to alcoholism, and in reviewing the trial transcript, he was quoted as saying, "I didn't want anything to do with her." She grew up in an environment where violence, addiction, and instability were constant. Despite that, Dana worked hard to avoid becoming a product of her environment. She worked multiple jobs. She put herself in school. She attended church, and she stayed away from the street life around her. But she was living on fragile footing. A prior court decision, forging a check in a moment of desperation, left her with a conviction, probation, fees to pay, and no margin for error. At the same time, she experienced a series of profound personal losses. Her grandmother, the only person who raised her and who she felt loved her, rejected her because of her sexuality. Dana had also just ended the only long-term relationship she had ever known. She had unstable housing, no transportation, and was struggling in isolation. The job she held at Microtel was not just employment, it was her lifeline. When Dana received a call that she had been fired, she didn't just hear that she had lost a job. She experienced that as the end to the only remaining support in her life. That moment triggered a lifetime of abandonment, rejection, and unaddressed trauma. It was in that emotional collapse she made the only violent decision in her life. One that had grave consequences that she is deeply sorry for. What I am here to highlight is what Dana did next and what she has done every day since. Dana almost immediately turned herself in, accepted responsibility, confessed to her crimes, and pled guilty. She didn't minimize her conduct, she never shifted blame, and over the last 22 years, she has done exactly what this system is designed to encourage: rehabilitation, accountability, service, and transformation. Her record speaks to who she is today. Driven by her remorse and her self-insight, she has deeply engaged in therapeutic programming, completing every class and opportunity that has been available to her, including multiple rounds of anger management, stress management, depression focus, and trauma healing. She understands the root causes of her behavior, particularly her rejection trauma and her emotional regulation skills, and has demonstrated sustained emotional stability for years. Dana has relentlessly pursued education. She's completed multiple advanced degree programs, including, as you heard, her most recent one, she graduated from yesterday. One only need to glance at her record to see the extraordinary amount of work she has done to break the generational cycles in her family. The Department of Corrections has repeatedly entrusted Dana with leadership roles. She's been selected to facilitate Celebrate Recovery and Life's Healing Choices, supporting other women in their rehabilitation. Most notably, she is the only offender selected and certified to teach the Moral Compass class. She mentors the mentors. She teaches them skills like decision-making, conflict resolution, and ethics. This reflects the level of trust placed in Dana. She improves every environment she's in. She contributes to safety and rehabilitation in her mentorship, in her modeling of accountability, in her reinforcing the values that this system seeks to instill. For the past several years, she's worked here at headquarters in the Adult Services Department. Staff consistently describe her as honest, sincere, and exceptionally hardworking. One staff member told me I would have no issue at all with her living next door to me. That is public safety. I have been truly moved by the overwhelming support for her among staff and administrators alike. On release, Dana will receive long-term comprehensive support, reentry support through the Louisiana Parole Project. She will be released into structure, supervision, continuity of care, stability, and a huge support network. She has built meaningful pro-social relationships within her prison community, here at the Department of Corrections, and now with her family. Her mother, who's with her today, is now in recovery and facing her second battle with lung cancer. If parole is denied today, Dana will not be reheard for another 5 years. Time she may not have with her ailing mother. Granting parole in this case aligns with the goals of this board. Dana is exactly the person parole is designed for. Someone who has taken responsibility, transformed herself, poses a low risk, and is ready for reintegration. To continue the service and the transformation from inside to here. She is not the same person she was at 22. She is a disciplined, self-aware, intelligent, hardworking woman who has done everything in her power to ensure nothing like this ever happens again. For these reasons, we respectfully request granting parole in this case is not only appropriate, but consistent with the goals of this system and the interests of public safety. And so we ask, please grant Dana the opportunity to continue to serve the remainder of her sentence on parole under supervision. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We have some people in opposition. And that is That concerns.
No, I'll
Okay.
just, no, we'll just include these in the record.
Okay, Mr. Hester,
Yes, sir.
go ahead and tell us what you would like to tell us, please.
All right. I'm gonna let my wife go first, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, I'm not Cindy Caraway's daughter. I'm her daughter-in-law. Her daughter was trying to get on here, but was unsuccessful in being able to be let in. She didn't want to speak, but she did want to be present and noted that she is also in opposition. I want to start off by showing you, because she can't be here today, because Cindy Caraway passed away in 2020 due to the mental illness that she has suffered from this heinous act, this decision that Dana decided to do. From that day forward, while we say it's attempted murder, actually on that day, she did kill Cindy Caraway. And this is who Cindy Caraway is, or was. And I want y'all to see her face and to remember that. Because my children never got to know their grandmother prior to this incident. She was never the same from that day forward. She didn't smile like she used to. She would spend days and awake because she couldn't fall asleep, because when she fell asleep, nightmares came. She was distant. She was a shell of the person that she used to be. My kids, my sister-in-law's kids never got to really know who she was. And she battled mental health until her very last breath when she took her life because she couldn't do it anymore. We sit here and I'm listening to everyone say about how Dana has taken accountability. I heard her say she's sorry today. That's all I heard. I heard her talking about herself just like she's always done. She was selfish. On that day, she was thinking about herself, and she downplayed it when she talked. And she said that she was fired. According to Miss Cindy, she wasn't fired. She asked Dana to come in and have a talk with her. And let's just say she was fired. You bring a gun with you to talk about being fired? Who does that? That's not somebody that went there with the intention of talking. That's somebody who went there with the intention of an action. Her intention was to shoot her. You don't bring a gun to have a talk. And while I hear everybody talk about how she's found God, I am so happy that she has, because she needed God. And I am so happy for that. That does not excuse what she did on that day and the punishment that she should have to have for that crime. God doesn't say just because you found me means that you don't have a punishment. When I punish my kid, I don't let them off early because they've made some good choices. And then we can talk about that as well. We can talk about how they said for 22 years, she's been this amazing role model. Well, records that I have received, 38 pages of it, say differently. And we can talk about those. In 2009, she was in trouble for self-mutilation. 2012, fighting. 2012, a loud argument dispute. 2014, defiance. 2012 and 2014, contraband. Theft in 2012. Aggravated disobedience in 2006, 2009, and 2015. Property destruction in 2012. Threatening behavior in 2013. She was in an unauthorized area twice in 2006. She had disobedience in 2007, twice in 2009 and 2012, and then my personal favorite, aggravated sexual offense in 2018. That does not sound like a role model the entire 22 years that she's been in prison. That sounds like somebody that was still actively not making good choices. And we're supposed to trust that she goes into parole. What if she gets in trouble again? What happened the last time she thought she was fired when she was on probation or parole? What did she choose to do? She chose to get a gun, call a cab, have the cab bring her to Microtel Inn, get out of that cab with a gun, ask the cab driver to wait for her, walk into Microtel, confront Miss Cindy and other employees in the washing area where they wash the towels and stuff, pull out the gun and point it at her head. Miss Cindy, terrified, walks out the door and takes off running down the hall. And Dana shoots her, takes the gun, puts it back in whatever she had it in, walks to the cab, tells him to bring her back to her home, where she gets out, brings that gun and hides it underneath the mattress of a baby carriage or something to that nature. She didn't turn herself in. They found her because she stiffed the cab driver and he called and reported it. What of that is fair? What of that, like, what happens if she gets in trouble this time? I want to believe that God has made a big change in her, and I hope that he did. But that doesn't take away what she did and the fact that she should serve every single minute of her sentence, because the truth is, Miss Cindy served a life sentence with no possibility of parole. Her family has served a life sentence. We have to go each day without her here because of what Dana chose to do on that day over a stupid job. And Dana didn't apologize to all the other people it affected. Of course, it affected Miss Cindy and her family. But what about the people, the other coworkers that stood there and watched her shoot someone? What about the people that were at that hotel that heard gunshots and were probably terrified for their lives, not knowing what was going on? And all Dana was worried about was herself. And when I hear her sit here and ask for parole and all the things that she's done to make herself better, all I hear is selfishness. It's still about her. If she was truly sorry, she wouldn't put us through this again. She would take her punishment. And that would be it. If you're sorry, that's how you show you're sorry.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, look, I'm all for turning your life around, and doing what you're supposed to do. But we're all have problems in life that we deal with. Bringing a gun to shoot someone because you thought you were getting fired and you're going to have to go back to jail is not good. That day she got when she found guilty of second-degree murder. No, she committed murder. It was a slow burn. For 20-something years, I've had to watch my mom, who was the most loving, would give everybody a second chance, to be the greatest, give you shirt off their back, deteriorate in front of my eyes. We go back and watch home movies, and you can see the drastic difference from the day she was before and to the day she was shot. And life has never been the same. We talked many nights about nightmares. She would stay up days at a time because she would just have nightmares about Dana putting a gun to her head. And putting the gun to my mom's face that day and telling her she's going to shoot her. My mom runs away and you cowardly shoot her in the back, full intent to kill her. Because nobody, if it isn't premeditated, nobody has the cab wait. Nobody brings a gun. Nobody hides the gun in her carriage. When they arrested Dana, she was smiling the whole time. Just like, oh, great. We go to court the day for sentencing. She just tells us basically, it's done. Let me live my life. Well, little did she know the domino effect she created. And they sit here, it's like they're just praising how great she is. Like she did not murder somebody she murdered somebody. My mom. I'm happy your mom's there and I'm sorry she's doing well, not well with her health and stuff. But my mom's not here because you decided you were going to take her life over a minimum wage job. To this day, I still see your face in that smile when they're arresting you.
Mr. Hester, would you address your remarks to the board?
Yes, ma'am.
Please.
I still see her smile in her face that day they arrested her. The day we're sitting in court and we're having to, my mom sitting there and just, you could tell she was so nervous. She threw up constantly that day because her biggest fear was she's going to have to see the person attempted to take her life, took her life that day. And to have that audacity to turn and tell the people, basically, get over it. Let me live my life. I'm all for turning your life around, rehabilitating. But we come from a world where if you do your crime, you should do your time. After the 30 years, so be it. But I have to tell my kids every day, when we watch videos and stuff, why did Mama change? Why is Mama like this now? I said, because someone decided they were going to play judge and executioner and decided to take her life. I can't tell people that my mom took her own life because that's not their knowledge. But I just had to tell people, oh, she was sick. But yeah, she was mentally sick because somebody decided they were going to take her life over a minimum wage job. Like, I'm not trying to be out of place. I apologize for my tone, but this is heartbreaking. We were going to do this a couple of years ago, right after she died, and we're trying to figure things out, but she got in trouble, so she couldn't get paroled. So to praise her and preach her for, oh, she's been a model citizen, man, we have a list. Like, we've been keeping up with everything. And who's to say she gets done and she doesn't come and retaliate at somebody else over a job? Like my wife said, if you get fired. If you do the crime, you should do the time. That's plain and simple. That's how the rule books are written. You're sentenced to 30 years. If you're good all 30 years or 25 years, you can get out of it. Great. She wasn't good. She started, oh, I'm sorry for what I did to that person said, I'm sorry what they did to their family. That's the first time. And I'm asking you, as someone who is a father, a son who misses their mom every day, would give anything to have a conversation with her, who can't still to this day delete her number from his phone. Just please do the right thing and make her serve her time. That's all I ask.
Thank you.
Hold on, one last thing. My sister and my wife are both battling breast cancer. Well, my sister is, my wife, we're dealing with that. My mom should be here today sitting with her daughter while she battles this cancer. But no, she has to go at it alone. So I'm asking you the last thing, please do the right thing and make her serve her time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Is that all of the the call for executive session, please?
Any question?
Yeah, let me ask you a couple of questions and then, okay. Where did you get the gun from?
I found it and I had it because of the area that I stayed in, because it was high crime and high violence. I kept it for protection because I stayed with my cousin, and we were the only female, and I would have to catch the bus early in the morning and it would be dark.
Okay, so you found it, you didn't buy it or get it
No, sir.
I'm a friend to anything.
No,
Okay.
sir.
All right. I have no further questions.
I was gonna ask the same question. I think there was something in the record that said you actually went and sought out the gun.
No, no, ma'am.
Okay. So, I do wanna, well, congratulations on your graduation and your educational achievement. I wanted to ask you a couple of things. We heard the Hesters, Ms. Caraway's family talk about your conduct record.
Yes, ma'am.
And, you know, what, I have to agree with some of it is concerning, but it seems like things changed in 2016, started to change rather. And that's when you seem to be more focused. What was it that clicked in you?
Doing that,
Conduct record, at least. That's when things started to change.
they started to change because I knew I had it to change. And it's true, God did change me. And it was right before my mom had really got diagnosed, and I knew that I had to change. And the things that I had done, that wasn't me.
You mean the things, what things? Explain that statement.
The reports like the unauthorized area, the defiance and the aggravated disobedience. Because I was raised and I am a person of respect. I am a person of integrity.
So I do notice you took a couple of victims programs. What did you get out of that?
When I took Victims Impact, I learned that I learned how I really affected the family mentally, physically, and psychologically. I learned that I affected my family, but even more so those that were around me that wasn't directly affected, but they were still affected by my poor choice.
So I'm just trying to get in my head as to, you know, why did you pull the gun out on Miss Caraway, Miss Cynthia? What was going through her head? And how has that changed?
During that time of my life, I had suffered so much rejection, and it was mainly due to my mother's drug addiction for 31 years, my father's alcohol problem. And I had just felt like so much had been taken from me. And I went that day with the intentions of begging for my job. And I just became so overwhelmed with anger and just feeling like the only person who was really giving me a chance was now rejecting me. And it was like I lost my mind, like I was out my body, like I committed a crime that I would have never done if I was in my right mind. I wasn't a violent person, and I'm not a violent person now. So coming to prison, I was determined not to be the person who fell prey to violence through rejection, where I worked on myself, where I took anger management multiple times. I learned how to deal with conflicts, and I learned how to find positive resolution. I developed coping skills where difficulties and challenges, they don't govern my emotions, they don't govern my life. And then I've developed a support network of leaders and mentors who've encouraged me and motivated me to be honest, to live in integrity, which in turn, through those things, I've learned how to mentor other women and to show them how to deal with the struggles I had as a child myself.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Tillis has made a motion for executive
A
session.
second.
We have a second by Mr. Freeman. Without objection, we're going to convene executive session to discuss confidential matters. It's 10:39. We'll be right back.
All right, everybody's caught up. Hang tight. Let's pull up that hearing and pick it up where we left off. Let's go there. All right, guys, here we go.
All right, I'll move to go back into regular session.
Second.
And second by Mr. Tillis. Without objection, we're back in regular session. It is 10:45 a.m. And we are prepared to vote. Mr. Tillis will be voting first.
Ms. Francis, I commend you for the positive things you've done. And I really am sorry that the family for their loss. I am. And I'm not going to drag this out. My vote today is going to be to grant to the Louisiana Parole Project.
Mr. Freeman.
Okay, I also want to commend you on everything you've done. One thing I do want to note is that you have a good time date in 2 years, so it's not actually 5 years. So regardless of what we do today, you get out in 2 years. But that family's still suffering, and it's tough. And I do realize it was totally premeditated. So my vote today is going to be to deny victim opposition and
Okay.
law enforcement opposition.
Yeah, there is very strong opposition in the record, Dana, from the prosecutor and law enforcement. You heard from the victim today. I agree also. Some of the things that you said to us today don't really match what's in the record about what happened. And I understand the way we process things sometimes over time changes. But I too believe that you meant to do harm to Ms. Caraway. You went there with the intention of doing her severe bodily harm. I've listened to the family of Ms. Caraway, and they are really still grieving. I'm not sure they understand what good time is. You do have a mandatory release date, which is February 24th of 2028. No matter what, you'll be getting out that day. I will defer to the victims. My vote today, based on the opposition we heard, is going to be to deny your parole. I do congratulate you on the hard work that you've done, but you've got a release date coming up in the near future. So keep doing what you're doing, mentor others. I think you can help other people. Good luck to you, ma'am. Today you've been denied.
Thank you.
Okay, friends, there you go. Denied. So, I have thoughts on this one, and if you have thoughts, feel free to join me and talk about it. But here's the thing that got me. So she had a whole laundry list. And if you didn't hear the laundry list when we're done here, if you weren't around for it, go back and watch that hearing. And they list off all of the offenses that she committed. And most of them were prior to 2016. And supposedly in 2016 is when she began to find God and to change her life and all of that. However, in 2018, she was found guilty in the facility of a sexual assault. So 2 years after her transformation began, she misbehaved in potentially, not even potentially, most definitely, I would say, of the list of things that were read off, that was her biggest offense. Now, I don't remember if it was a sexual assault or a sexual encounter. It was something sexual. So I want to make sure that I'm clear on the record that I could be wrong on that, but it was some sexually related offense in the prison. 2 years after her so-called transformation began. Now, if you've hung around here long enough, you know that I am a Christian, you know that I am God-fearing, you know that I believe in a higher power, and that I hope for people to find the Lord, for people to change, for people to grow. And I am, however, always leery of prison transformations because I think they're often used, as it's been described before, as the Jesus blanket. that's been described on this channel as that, this excuse, this place for people to go and feel sheltered and forgiven and all of that, which is true in a spiritual sense, and it is true in a godly sense, but there is still the matter of the price that you have to pay here on the planet. And she's close to being done with paying that price. She's only 2 years out from release with her good time. So, and somehow, despite all of her violations while she was in there, she still amassed some good time. So she's going to get out in 2 years regardless. But what struck me more than anything in listening to this was I don't understand how so many people, now I guess I've got to defer to them a little bit because they're with her every day, but I don't understand how so many people found so much goodness in this person and are so convinced of her transformation, despite the fact that 2 years into her transformation, she committed what was the worst on her list of prison offenses. It doesn't add up to me. Now, I'm not saying that she hasn't made improvements, and I'm not saying that there's no way she would do okay once she gets out. She might, especially with the support of the Parole Project and them giving her the tools that she would need and the support that she would need. But I'm not sold on it. And it's surprising to me that all of these prison officials and the people who have dealt with her and one of the board members were convinced by it. It doesn't add up to me. I don't understand it. That's the reason why I wanted to show this today. It's the reason why I've been holding it. I was going to show it yesterday, but obviously we had the stream failure, so I didn't do it today. But when I watched this the other afternoon as I was doing other work, I was listening. It's like, how are they so convinced that this woman is like, you know, the bestest thing since sliced bread and the hula hoop? Again, I'm not saying that she hasn't made improvements, and if she has, that's great. But they were talking about what was like her integrity or her honesty, something like that. You know, I don't know. I don't ever think we should be defined by our worst action, because if we're solely defined by our worst action, every single one of us will be eternally damned. It's just facts. Just not all of us have to go to prison for the bad things that we do, but every one of us does things that just, you know, aren't right, you know? So I get that part, but I don't know. Like I said, it was just very unconvincing to me based on the evidence and based on the data that there was a true transformation there. And I'm just befuddled by the number of people who were convinced that there was. But again, they deal with her every day, so maybe they're seeing something we're not. But, you know, if the last bad thing was 2018, it's 2026 now. It's, you know, 7+ years, depending on when it happened in 2018. So, you know, maybe it is real. But I guess I would need more data than what was presented at that hearing, which was part of the surprise to me that the first vote was to parole. I didn't necessarily see that. And the facts didn't all line up either, because people were talking about how good she's been without, you know, any missteps and whatnot. And then they read all of these missteps. Now, maybe when they were speaking about how good she was and the lack of missteps, maybe it was the lack of missteps since 2018. I don't know. But again, I don't get it. And I'm willing to guess you don't get it either, Michael.
I don't get it.
See, I know you.
Dan, I don't, my microphone's all weird today, but I don't understand it. The wrapping yourself in the Jesus blanket, I think, just makes your case even worse, because the Bible, I'm not going to quote the Bible today. This isn't going to be the agnostic teaches you about the Bible.
Ashley, mark down that Michael refused to quote the Bible today.
Will do.
However, I won't quote it directly. I will say there are, of all the things in the Bible, punishment and obeying laws is a very common theme throughout. Mm-hmm. And so I think that people need to understand that. I think that if you're going to use the Bible and God and everything as your defense, you should probably understand that. I think one of the key elements in there is to accept and obey and adhere to and accept the punishment that you've been given, and to just try and get out of it early because you think that you have found the ways of God, and because you think you are suddenly this God-fearing individual. And well, then if you truly are, then as the victim said, then you should sit for your entire punishment, because that is what the state has given you. If that's, that's what you should do if you've truly accepted God.
Well, I've said it before, Michael, that one of my problems with modern day Christianity and the modern day church is that they're only teaching, I don't want to be absolutist. A vast majority of them are mostly teaching, I'm going to walk it right up to that line, just out of the New Testament. So we're doing the Jesus talk, but you have to look at the text as a whole. For me, the Old Testament teaches us about bad actions and accountability and punishment. The New Testament gives us the path to salvation from all of that. And I think you have to look at both. And I would think you would especially have to look at both for prisoners, for convicted felons. They have to have both of those messages. But the modern day teachings, the way that Christianity is presented now, it's the Jesus blanket. And it's not good enough. You need both.
I definitely agree with that. I think, when you first said that the victims were very emotional and everything like that, I feel for them. I am not saying that they are wrong to feel that way. I think every victim should have a chance to convey their feelings during this. However, I don't think the victim should be the sole. I always believe that the victim should not portray what should happen to that person. That's why you have the board. So that's why I felt that way afterwards. But when you said, Dan, that she committed things in jail, like problems, and there were problems when she was in prison, that would justify them keeping her in my opinion. Yes. I don't think, even if it was a few years back or whatever, and such a bad offense like that, I would not put her out on parole, just because of that.
No,
in my opinion.
No, and that's the other thing that was my other point too, Ashley. Good, that was where I was going next. Was then on top of it, you're talking about how you're God fearing and you found God and Jesus and all that, and that's great, fantastic. I never think that should, I don't care, even if it is the most sincere thing that's ever been said, I don't think that should shorten your punishment. But also, you have all these jail incidents. You have all these incidents in the prison. And it's not like one or two. I think most people in prison probably get written up at some point. But some of them were serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a theft in there, as I recall. I think there was an assault.
There was a sex assault in there.
Yeah, I think there was just a vanilla assault too.
Yeah, there was, and there was unauthorized, being in an unauthorized area. There was disobedience, which whatever that means. There was a lot of insubordination kind of stuff that went on. So, and a number of other incidents too. And again, this was a pattern of behavioral problems. You know, we see some people that are in there that don't have a lot of write-ups or haven't had one in 25 years or something. And so I think her behavior there says that she hasn't truly reformed. It says to me that there's still some issues. And, you know, I can't have somebody going out into society that can't even figure it out when everybody's watching you, when you should be on your best behavior. I cannot justify letting somebody out in that situation.
Now, I will say this. I don't remember if it was Wahoo or Charles, but somebody put in the chat when we were watching that if she's going to get out in 2 years anyways, I think the point that was trying to be made was, does it make sense to let her go out to the parole project where at least she has supervision for a couple of years for maybe a softer landing?
That was Charles.
Now,
Yeah.
there's a point to be made for that. Because when she gets let out, my understanding is there's no supervision. She's just out. There is a point to be made for that. I could see that. We've talked about that, I think, actually before, too. There's been a couple of other times where even the board has suggested letting them out so that they can get the supervision. And maybe, you know, I could see that, I suppose. And maybe, I don't think the victims would be happy with that. And again, as Ashley said, you know, it's not really about what the victims want per se.
Yeah.
But the reason they have them there is for context, is to add context and background. Yeah, they're going to be emotional.
Yes.
And as hard as it is for humans to do, we have to divorce ourselves from those emotions. But listen to what they're saying, because the board didn't bring up the prison, you know, the incident reports first. They did. And then the board followed up on that. And I think that added some very important context. And they brought up, you know, not just their emotions and being upset. They brought up the fact that they don't think that she's actually reformed, or at least not totally. And hey, I'm always saying, I think most people, other than, you know, sex assault, I think most other people can be rehabilitated, even murderers or attempted murders. But I don't think that's what's going on here yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you could argue, I suppose, that based on what you're saying, the fact that you could reform an attempted murderer, you could argue that offense in 2018 in prison was a worse offense than the one she's in prison for.
I would, and that's an argument I can make for sure.
Because by your logic, it's not something she can be reformed from.
Nope. And that's my biggest problem, is that offense, I think, says more about her than any of the other offenses. Because look, man, I get it. You know, some people get written up and maybe they just don't want to do something. They're not feeling it. They're in prison.
Yeah.
You know, we all have bad days. It's just, if you have a bad day in prison, it could get you a write-up. But that one in particular is horrible. That's horrendous.
Hey, thanks for watching this clip from TCF Live. If you enjoyed it, please leave a comment, like, and subscribe if you haven't already. And you can join us weekdays live, 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific, right here on this channel.